I watched the episode this morning. I thought it was terrific.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I love this series.
That's nice to hear.
There
It
you
really
are.
is good to hear.
Sure. I mean, a little less gore in it this time than
Which
normal.
pleases me.
Does it?
Because I'm not into gore. And I know that a lot of Linda's stuff has been about that very, not saying salacious, but dark, gothic kind of brutality.
Yeah.
Strange male psyche revenging on women and cutting them into pieces and stuff. I feel rather delicate about all that. Gruesome. But in fact, people like to sometimes go on dark journeys, don't they, when they watch it? I mean, this is a young woman, young actress now, but it's more. There are more strands to it, I think. This one.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I mean, I suppose for you, it's sort of in an area. You know, they're making a film, aren't they? And, it happens while she's filming. It's sort of play within a play, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think the very beginning of it, because I just saw it yesterday as well. They managed to get that, because I mean, we filmed it, but you don't know how they've edited and cut it. It seems very more modern, the style of it as well.
Yeah.
Even though they're filming old-fashioned films, the style is like the Office. Everything looks cleaner, crisper, more modern. Out there in London, more.
The Office is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was much. Was it grungier or
grungier? Yeah, and tighter. And now
it's not because the books have changed. It's based on the book, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think also, I suppose, when you involve yourself with another director and a new producer, Cherry Gould, who it's her first time producing, and they look at it, and she always had this idea to get out into London a bit more, see a bit more of the outside, as opposed to just stuck in the insides. So she was very keen on that, and I think probably every director and every cameraman, director of photography, brings their own image to the backdrop of what they want to shoot in the matter and form and structure of the story. But there's always, like in paintings, there's always the foreground and the background, which also gives an emotion to it.
Yeah, and does that inform you as an actor, that look and feel of it? Does that, I suppose you have no sense in a way.
In a way we don't, because we're usually looking the other way, the background being behind us, and I do not have eyes at the back of my head. It would be handy, but sometimes when you look around, like I remember when we had a first chance to look around just the main office where we're going to work, and the idea of you looked out over King's Cross, you looked over and you had a sense of the outside while you're working inside, and this, all the stuff that you're bringing into the office has come from the outside anyway. This is just where we collate things and work stuff. So the out there, it seems to be much more present, just atmospherically. Yeah.
So just remind me where we were at the end of the last series. So he was up for this promotion.
He was. Yeah, he was. He was, and then they made an elemental error and not recognise somebody who was. Though they weren't that much up on the drug squad. There was this huge drug guy that had got away, who came into the office, pretended to be working for half CIA MI5, but in fact was the dealer himself. And it was only after he'd gone he realised there was something odd about him. And the shame of actually having a man who they've been looking for 20 years in your office, in your very place, when you consider yourself to be one of the top guys, to miss it.
Sounds plausible.
It sounds plausible. And then to the furious to go like, wait a minute, there's something wrong. And by the time you've found out, even if it's a couple of minutes, he's gone. And so the end of the last series was Langton saying to Travis, you just keep your mouth shut about this, right? Because I've been in this business a long time, we've fucked up, but I need to move on now, economically, financially, and I'm coming to the end of what I want to be, and I should be a commander, so stum. And this sort of begins for his character as, I'm afraid you didn't get it. The thing that stopped you was probably the last case, in which case he recognises somebody's spoken out of turn.
But I love Langton. He's just flawed in so many ways.
Oh yeah. That's why it's great.
Do you like that as an actor?
I do, because he's got, and yet there is some kind of beating heart of care deep down. But it's overridden by his male libido and his volatility on his desire to shake everybody up. He's not the most sensitive, delicate man. No. Although in this one he is, because he has another agenda now. He's not just about solving the crime as quickly as possible, get on it. It's about, he's got this other agenda, which is about looking at these 5-6 people to work out while this is going on, which one of you saw me down the river.
And that will play out. Will that story arc play out over how many episodes have we got?
Over 3.
Over 3.
Yeah, and so it moves on bit by bit. Some of them volunteer information, some of them say, it wasn't me, Gov. They hear he's on the warpath quietly. And it's very interesting how it resolves itself. It's very, very interesting because it's like you think you know, you never know, and you go, oh, wow, something else.
Yes. And I mean, also, there's the whole thing with Travis, which is in the background, and their relationship.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's always going on.
And so do we get more of that, where they seem to repel and are attracted to each other at the same time?
There is, because they're feisty with each other, and yet he, as a boss and a father figure, because he was trained by a father when we go way back, as a boss and a father figure, he's hard on her as a boss, he's caring about her as a kind of a father figure, and his lustful male libido wants to lay her, be with her. So they're all in conflict all the time, really.
Yeah.
And there's moments in this where you go, are they going to go over the line? Are they going to... It's interesting.
I love that part of it. I mean, that aspect of it, I think, is fascinating. And his personal, his other person, I mean, is he a little bit more together now? Because he was, falling asleep with the bottle of whiskey, wasn't he? And stuff like. Is he slightly more together in this series?
In this, he is, because of his own personal agenda. Apart from his professional agenda, which is about solving cases and running a tight squad, this is personal. So you don't see him drinking. He's still smoking. He's still thinking. You see him on his own quite a few times, and that's about resolving his own personal demon about which one of you was it. Because he does say, when they see him, because he's not on the case, and he's suddenly put on the case, and the guy he take over from is the guy who's been projected to commander, who was way below him in the last thing. So he believes that, well, that could be number one. Easy for you to point that out. Then he realizes, he admits that it was not to do with him. There's a moment of respect saying, hey, it wasn't me. Yes, of course they asked me to commander, I go up for it. It wasn't me, and he believes him. There's an inherent instinct that you believe. But what's quite interesting is an inherent instinct can also let you down later on, because there are some wool that's pulled over your eyes you just don't see coming, and in fact don't even find out about. So at the very end, I don't know if you got to the end, but it's quite interesting, because just the way because 3 parts, but the end of it, you're not sure this is resolved, and then there's something else just sneaks in at the end, and you go, oh wow, that wasn't even mentioned. It was suggested but not covered, and then it suddenly comes out. It's quite interesting.
It's great. I mean, Linda's writing is as good as ever, isn't it? I mean, the stories is
the complications of them, yeah, and also in this one there's a lot more. For example, at the beginning of it, when the actress is found murdered, there could be up to 10 or 11 people, possibilities.
Yeah, there's suspects everywhere.
Actors, lovers, wives of them, ex-flatmates, director not getting on with the drivers. There's a whole mixture of stuff, and of course we're on a deadline.
And what did you think about how it portrays the world of acting and show business?
Well, I love it. Langton has this attitude to it. Which he also had that we invented in the first one, when the guy who was a serial killer was also an actor, becoming a very successful actor. And after he left the room, Langton, I just turned to Sean and went, fucking actors. And it's that, what the name, and an actor is saying, here's my truth, I'll be very honest with you, but there's a performance still going on, so you're trying to find the truth, cut away the performance, and see what's the truth. But there's something inherent he just likes about it. So now Langton's back with actors, and he doesn't really interview them. He looks at them suspiciously, but they call one of them in the second episode, and again he does, get out, and he says, look, I'm very sorry for it, get out, show the door, and he turns around again, he goes, I fucking hate those people. And it's that idea of a chip. Do you know what I mean? You say flow. Yeah, it's about all this celebrity, all this kind of this, and look at them. Who are they? And it's like a chip. The same as he had a chip about the class thing. Comes up about class. He's made his own way, and it's another flaw. Kind of man.
Yeah, definitely. But what do you think it did, for yourself? Did you think that world seemed well done? It did to me. The world of the film, and there's the sort of bitchiness, the rivalry.
It's quite scared me a bit because I don't move in those circles of actors. Now, I don't know if this younger generation is coming up with knives out and going, it's all about me and it's about grab the moment. We come from a different era.
Yeah.
And certainly young actors I'm working with presently, and Juno and the Paycock, are not like that. But I don't know whether the film industry, the chances, the opportunities are, it's about me getting there.
Everyone was completely sharp, weren't they?
But they all looked up for it, yeah. They looked up. I wouldn't survive for a moment in that kind of
But you do films, and
Yeah, but it's not like that. It's a different world. But I mean, maybe there's a young, hot-foot world about all that need, because the older and the more experience, the more understanding you have of how difficult it all can be, and certainly it is not all about you. It's not about all you. There are too many departments and people involved that you have to sometimes surrender to and debate with, and back to it, not what you want to do. I mean, there was one incident I did work with very young actors who was just all about you, and she was quite brilliant, but it was very difficult for everybody else to operate inside the work. You had to find it was harder. And but I suppose Linda's hit very hard on that idea of all these young celebrity actors out there clubbing, doing drugs, having sex, partying. It's all about me when I'm ready. And you go like, well, you wouldn't last a minute with Mr. Spielberg, or
Is that what you think? Is that
No, you wouldn't. You just like, get on your bike. We got other people who can do that.
So there's no room for that sort of pretension or that sort of me attitude in in the real world, is it?
Well, there is, unless
in the real acting world.
It depends on. I mean, I've not really come across it, I have to say. I mean, one instance maybe, but I think I've been fortunate, because I can't say exactly the projects have been worked on. Have been mostly sort of a lot of ensemble work. Yeah. Occasionally you have to step up to the mark and play the roles, but usually it's the person who sets the tone is the director or the conductor, and if they allow people to behave badly, that'll spread and the atmosphere will sour. So if there is moments of it, it's up to the director to come down, not heavily, but to have words, to actually understand that it is about you. It's about people working together.
And I suppose there's no time now. I mean, everything, rehearsal periods are much less, shooting periods, how long did this take to shoot? Was it
6 weeks?
6 weeks.
Yeah, for 3 hours. I mean, and you get old, you're going like, whoa, scary. Keep going. Whereas...
Is there much rehearsal time at all?
We get a couple of days, and it's really about talking through the script, finding, as Linda writes it hot from the book, she's taking the book and then she has to transform it into that. And sometimes you don't have to say it all, you can actually take the atmosphere and look with and this is all to be debated, and also it's about making sure that we know as lay actors, as both the police procedure, but now this is the 4th one we've done, so I understand a little bit more just about what you would say, what you wouldn't say.
Yes.
Where you hit hard, where you sit back. So your own instinct comes to play.
And how have you learned that? How have you gleaned that? Is that just the process of doing it, or have you just done it more?
And doing it more, I suppose.
Talk to people about it?
And Cal is always there. Cal Sutherland, who's the ex London Met, and he's been an advisor to Linda through all the. I was going to say Crime and Punishment. Then I was going to say Pride and Prejudice, but in fact it's Trial and Retribution, excuse me. And he's advised her on that because of all the stuff that what you would do, what you don't, what's silly, what's too dramatic, what's arch, but because it is not documentary drama, you have a license to actually heighten it. But of course, there's some level of sensibility you need to have and not go away with the fairies altogether. Yeah. And so Cal's there and you'd ask him one or two things. He said, no, we would do it like that, but maybe that's possible.
And do you get any sense that anybody like Langton, is he typical of that?
I imagine there could be. There are.
Is it, yeah.
I mean, of course, and earlier, I mean, he's like old style, I mean, modern guys are more cool, probably a lot of them are more, they're basically university educated, they're supposed to come up through the ranks, than Langton is. But that male police culture from the 70s, 80s that we saw, which is about men, you say, well, it's a fine line between being on the legal and illegal, between the cop and the criminal, and the stuff that went on in between has always been part of society everywhere. Yeah. That's about power. So, but and Langton, I don't think has ever taken money. I don't think he's ever furthered his career. But I think he's,
So he's never
really
been
on the
corrupt
job.
then, has
No,
he?
he's corrupt, but he knows that sometimes you shut up about as a matter of procedure or as a matter of, yeah, he was a bad guy. And I've worked with guys who have done the line at the same time he was a cop.
It's a sort of realism in a way, isn't it? You know, an understanding that
A bigger picture than just your little unit and how it works.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I bumped into a friend downstairs, and he said that ITV have 13 returning detectives recommissioned, and he only got to 6, and he couldn't list the other 7. Now I was staggered at that, and I pretty much watched them all, but 13.
That's an awful lot.
That's he included Marple and Poirot and.
Where do you place them? I mean, because I work in the theatre a lot, and I do that, so I don't see it. Oh, right, okay.
This is everything.
That's quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. I mean, we seem to have more and more of them. I love them, and I mean, clearly audiences do. What is the enduring appeal of
the mystery? Will they solve it, or the vagaries, or the? And then some of them are wittier than others. I mean, there's not a lot of wit. Ours is like there's little edges going along. But I imagine and stuff like that. There's also kind of very black humour going on down the road. But that's not the way this writing takes us. It takes us into a different spirit. So therefore, there are many ways of approaching the detective or criminal story.
And so, is there any one thing that? So you're saying there are different shades of these stories, and that's why they're proved.
Yeah, different shades.
That's why they're proved popular.
They're all also different. Some are lighter than others. I mean, though I suppose I'd say a couple of Midsummer's Night Dream, and that's very very beautiful, and then very interesting, and they film it really well, and they've got wonderful actors in it, and then the moment of the action is quite gothic, but then all around it doesn't go down really, really seedy, dirty, urban. It's got that veneer of gentility, but at the same time, there's a madness afoot, and that's kind of sweet. And they always present, could it be, or could it be, or maybe, or, and then you go like as the story unfolds. I mean, I think they're brilliant. I mean, I've only seen a couple. I'm not, but I've always wanted to know.
Yeah, no, I was just quite shocked, really, and then he couldn't really list them, so he was probably telling me a lie.
Well, you don't know. And then I suppose there's the more modern ones, more as they keep turning up and getting new writers. New writers. But Linda still seems able to turn her hand to it, isn't it? It's phenomenal over 25 years now.
Yeah. And was that what attracted you? Was it Langton, the character, in the first place that drew you to it?
It was the divine Kelly Riley, first of all, who attracted me. We'd worked in the theatre together. Yeah. In 2001 in Dublin, in a very two-handed play, Chekhov play, and it was just the two of us with a great director, Carol Rice, and we got very close working in this piece. And we'd get in contact once a year, just say, how's it going for you, and things like that, and maybe have a bite to eat now and again. And then this came up, and Linda, I think, really wanted her to play, because she's right from a young girl, and somebody who's young, slightly different, but young coming through. And I suppose my name was flung into a hat with a few others, and whether they turned, I don't know. We don't know what selection list you are in the end, but my agent said, this has come up, and they're very interested in you now. Kelly Riley is going to do it. She would absolutely love you to do it. And they sent me the book, the first book, just the book. So I read the book. And it really attracted me, the book, because I don't read detectives. I read sort of realistic fantasy realism and stuff like that. So the criminal books I don't really know, but I find them fantastic to read, and the complexities of the character. And then we came to do the first one. So I said yeah, and then I realised, well, all that complexity you can't do in a TV series. It's too short. I mean, you can get edges of it, but you can't go with all the twists and the turns, because the relationship that Langton and Travis have is very deep. And they go in and out. They actually do have an affair. They split up, but he's two-timer, because he has also an ex-wife, and he's also screening the commander. But he really has this. Then he puts that on hold. Then they can't live together. And then they split up, and then they come back together. I mean, in the whole sequence of the books, and then it's and then she has to get her life. So it's
like Burton Taylor.
It's like, if only it was that elegant or inelegant.
Yeah. But what a lot of fun for you, though. I mean, it strikes me that it's you know, for TV now to have a complex character, flawed, but also in a working relationship, which you.
Yeah, well, it's
you
nice.
like.
I mean, it's like on I think on the first up, you just this is a big old unreconstructed big mouth guy who just gets all the orders and is hard on everybody. But then there's other bits that are around between his chips and his libido and his care that sneaks in and out sometimes. So there are different areas to go in, and just fold them in on one another. So you try and make a real person rather than just Langton strides in through it, crashes through another door. You know, however you interpret that, it's.
Well, indeed, and I mean, you've got a great biography. I mean, what sort of turns you on about a project now? Is it, you know, you'll say you're doing Juno and the Paycom?
Well, the people who are doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's usually the people who are doing it. I mean, the role itself, I mean, of course, one likes one likes big roles, but actually I find I don't mind being part of a company if I really believe in the project, however little you have to offer. I mean, we did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which when I read and I'd seen the director's film, this little Swedish film, vampire film, and I knew he was a great director. And then I knew that Gary Oldman was involved, who I had enormous respect for, and that Colin Firth probably who I've also respect for, and John Hurt was involved. And they asked me to play a small role, and I said, yes, please. It's just quite so simple. There's a sound base for joining in a group of very talented people like that to just be a part of some creative process.
Yeah.
But the same with Juno. Howard Davis, to me, is one of the great theatre directors of our time. Juno, for us Irish, is one of our great plays, and Sinead Cusack is just a divine actress. So that's what puts it together. Yeah, I mean, in terms of your career now, you're in the sort of best possible place you'd be in, seems to me. Until you find out you never work again. You know? It's always just around the corner, David.
You like, never worry about that, sure.
I try not to, but there's always that moment in the back of your head. You're like, oh, that's it. That'll be the one.
What would you do?
I'd probably go for long walks and get the daughter to finish her degree and send me a few shillings.
Can I just give you our last question now?
Oh. I mean, I don't know if she'd be up for that, but I mean, I could try it, couldn't I?
And so, do you divide your time between here and Paris? Is that what?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. That sounds.
I have to say, the Eurostore has been a gift to me. When they were building it, I thought that's an awful lot of money for what's the hurry. But for me, who suddenly afterwards found himself living between work and family, between two cities, it's been a godsend.
Gosh, that's great.
Really, it's otherwise it'd be a nightmare.
Yeah,
just airports. I mean, you have to go to airports when I film away. That's okay, you get used to that. But to go between here doing theatre, back to the family, that would be terrible. So it's eased my life quite a bit.
And is your daughter? Is she looking towards acting?
She's starting to have a little desire for it. Although she's at the LSE at the minute studying something else.
So that's quite a jump from.
Yeah, she's studying international relations. So suddenly she says, "But I also might want," and I said, "That's your own business." Good luck, mate.
Probably more work in international relations at the moment.
I think there probably is.
I don't know. I mean,
I'd say there's a younger generation coming up that, and when we grew up, it wasn't like this clamour. But then we just grew up to be on the stage. We didn't to learn to act in theatre. We didn't grow up with a clamour to be on television, to be in movies, to do ads, to be. It was different. 35 years ago.
Ask a lot of young people now.
There weren't many people, and there weren't so many. And now it's like everybody can be a star, everybody can do this, everybody can. And you go, well, it's a long old survival, right? You can do a couple of things, and maybe that progresses you, but the fallout rate will be immense.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bit lately about saying that it's too easy to become a celebrity. I mean, people are discovering you're too young. It does.
But it's how you live after it, because it will pass like anything. You know, it's the way life is. It's just, and it's nature. It's transitional life, and you keep living and moving. So it's not going to be there that moment going like, hooray, and you so next week. Everything will have moved on. So wherever you're, but I think somehow endemic. It's a bit. They're so young. They obviously don't have the wider view.
No, cool.
And so, it's tough.
It is
for them. Everybody's got to follow their dream, I suppose.
But of course, that is the big dream, isn't it? Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Jolly good. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Karen.
Terrific.
Getting it all.